So he picks me up and like we swing around. He picks me up through the back and like swing around the street and like we both at the same time look over and the space says for lease. And there had been like the paleteros like basically hub for a minute. So every morning,
kept the freezer.
yeah. So it had blackout shades. You know, they needed to get sun out because they have freezers in there. You know, they can't have the energy just going all the time. So it was like boarded up. It was just. I never thought of it. I've never thought of the space as anything other than just like that's just a corner.
Just what it was, because it wasn't in the view.
It was in the view, and like almost like overnight, it was cleared out, and it passed by. And like at the same time, I look over and it says for lease, and I just like looked at him.
You guys look at each other.
Yeah, he was just like, "Yo, should I call the landlord tomorrow to see like what's up?" And he's just like, "Yeah, you should. You got his number, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And the landlord at the time we used to work for him, he was the owner of Pitchfork. So like,
so that was already a perfect connection.
Yeah. I had built a relationship with him. I used to work. He used to do like Sangria Fest, like at Street Fest, and it was always hard work. One, it was like no one really like knew how to deal with him, with the owner himself, and it was just hard work all the time. You know, you're in a little rental truck, box truck, like making sangria like on the go, like quick as hell. You had to manage that you don't overmake any. But you don't want to fall short either, you know. And then it's the middle of summer, and you're dealing with syrups and wine and sugar. So there's bees all around you in the truck. You just like have to ignore and keep working. It just sucked. It really did suck, and it was long days. You'd have to. I mean, a fest goes all day, you know. But setup, whoever's working the fest is even longer.
Yeah, super tedious.
Man, so you get there, start the day sometimes at 8, sometimes earlier. You're not getting home till like midnight, you know, after you clean up everything and get ready for the next day. But anyways, I had figured out like, yo, it's all good. Like, this is good pay. Who cares if the dude's like hard to work with, you know? And
you're like, I'm thinking of other stuff too.
Yeah, it was just like, cool, what do you need? Listen to you. This is what you need. Cool, I'm gonna get it done. I didn't do it right. Cool, whatever, I'll remake, you know? But I want to say like I found a way to work with him. And I think for that reason, like, I don't know, he like maybe respected me. I don't know what it was, but like we definitely were able to talk and be cool, you know.
Yeah.
So I reached out to him one day. This was like by this time when I called him, it was probably December, let's say, of 2017.
Yeah.
It was probably December of 2017. So I literally called him. And I was like, yo, like I saw that downstairs is for rent.
What's up with that? Yeah.
What's up? I was like, I just want to know how much it is. At this point, we had no idea of a business plan, nothing like that.
You just saw a space and you're like, that.
I just wanted to know. I wanted to get a starting point as to like how much a space costs because I had no idea. So I called him to be like, yo, how much you're asking for? Like, how does this work? And he was like, well, what's your plan? What are you planning to do? So I, told him everything. I was like, I want to open a plant shop and sell house plants. He's like, oh, a flower shop. I was like, no, plant shop. I just want to sell house plants. I was like, I don't have a home. I don't own a home. I don't have backyard space. So there's like more than half the city doesn't own homes. I was like, they live in apartments. They want to have plants inside their homes.
He wasn't getting it, or
he just, didn't understand it. He's old school. He's a great dude. He's just old school. But he was like, okay. He's like, so I'm gonna sell flowers. He was just like, all right. He's like, well, what will we do in winter? I was like, the same thing. You just keep going, Just anyways, that went on. He was like, well, this is how it works, Ozzy. He's like, because he manages multiple properties. He's like, look, this is how it works. Usually, his commercial leases are 5 years minimum, 3 sometimes. He's like, and you need to present your business plan, He's like, and then we can go back and forth. You tell me what I'll cover as far as updating the space, and then the other half you'll cover.
So he actually took the time.
He took the time to explain it to me. Yeah, he really did. And then he was like, look, he's like, this is your first business, right? He's like, how about this? He's like, I will rent you the space for a year. He's like, and in a year, if you decide at that moment that it's not working out for you, then whatever, call it a day, go our own ways. He said, but if it works for you, then I'll require a 5-year lease. He's like, and I'll hook you up with the rent because you worked for me for so many years. And I was like, yo, this is great.
He hooked it up essentially.
Yeah,
he really
this was conversation 1, the first conversation. And I was just calling to get a price for the space.
You're already like, all right, bet we got.
Bro, by the time we hung up the phone, he was like, "I'll get you keys next week." It was locked in at that point, and I was like, "Yo!" I hung up the phone. I was looking at Ray, and I was like, "I don't know what just happened. I think I just got a spot downstairs."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't know." And like, next meeting with mom was just like, "Yo, this guy moved really quickly. I didn't know how to say no or yes." I was like, "We got keys. He's giving us till." He was like, "How about this?" He's like, "I won't charge you rent till you open." And I was
he
like,
even let you do that,
yeah, he hooked it up, man. And going back to like, you know, keeping an open mind, going back to that, where it was like, I could have told this guy that like, the first time that he like, you know, made me mad at work or whatever, I could have just been like, "Yo, I can't do this shit. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't need this." But just keeping an open mind and being like, whatever, I'll stick to it. You know, like, I'll just keep going to work.
You gotta have that like optimistic view. You're like, this is fun anyways, right?
Yeah. Just doing extra things, you know, like I learned a lot from like working for him, you know, like how to manage people, how not to manage people.
Right.
But anyways, like he hipped it up, man. Like that, you know, it was just like a blessing.
He tells you like, yo, like
he's like work on the space. You don't owe me rent till you do your first transaction. He's like, but as soon as you open doors, say anything, you have things for sale, you owe me rent.
That's when you owe rent.
I was like, all right, cool.
You're like, all right, bet, like.
So me and Juan are like, all right, yo, like, when is our opening day? This is like.
So Juan's ready. He's like all in now.
He's all in now. I don't even know if he was. I think he just wanted, yeah. And I was like, how about let's pick a date? I was like, March 1st, or maybe we came up with it together. So we just said March 1st will open 2018. We ended up looking at the calendar after we had decided it was a Thursday. It was just like a weird thing to do, like open on a Thursday. Why not a Monday? Why not a Friday? Why not a Saturday? But we're like, all right, whatever. It just seems like a right stamp, you know?
Was it called Plant Shop Chicago at this time? Or?
No, it had a few name ideas, yeah.
I remember seeing too, like when I tell you I was digging, I think I seen you at one point post a story of some pictures, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw like this, like, I could almost see you thinking out loud, and you're like, the same thing you were doing with WOV, you were probably doing with Plant Shop Chicago. You're like, let's build another entity on Instagram. And I think you called it, what was it, Pale Roots?
Yo, how?
I think it was called Pale Roots, right? Yeah. That was the first time you like, all right, I'm gonna start making a page for it.
That's insane that you like actually found that.
I feel like I
don't even know if I'd be able to find it right now if I looked.
I know I saw that and I was like, dude, I feel like I know, I could see him sitting down right now, like thinking out loud.
Originally it was called Pale Roots.
Yeah.
And it was another one of those things with Wild and New Villains where it's like, oh, why is it called that?
Right.
You know? I could have named something Chicago Villains that would be like, yo, that's cool. And it would end at that. And it was like, it was called Pale Roots, and people were like, oh, why Pale Roots? I was like, well, when you unpot a plant and it's got pale roots, it's healthy roots.
Yeah.
But it was just like this thing to explain again,
just
you know?
Just a deep story to it.
Yeah, just like double meaning things, and I don't know, I've always kind of wanted to do stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's like I want to, I think it just comes naturally. It's like, I will tell you this, but it actually means that, you know? Like,
just like that layer of mystery, it's like, dude, trust me, you're gonna love it because it means something.
Yeah. But damn, that's so wild. But yeah, it was called Pale Roots. At first, it was my Instagram for plants, and I wanted to like do this whole separate thing and just keep plants and personal life separated, you know?
Because you're still doing like the sales in your yard.
Yeah, I was just doing random things and just being, you know, a person, like having my own social media. And yeah, damn, I'm kind of thrown off a little bit that you kind of found that. Yeah. Because I probably ended up saving that IG handle somewhere and being like, I'm gonna save it just in case I need it. But it wasn't the name. It was Pale Roots. There was a few other renditions of a possible name, but at the end, I think I proposed the idea to one that like I had traveled like before me and Rachel had our daughter. We're like, let's go to Seattle and let's go to New Orleans. And when we went, the first things like as the plane lands. Before we're like, you know, unboarded, the first thing I would do would be like plant shops in Seattle, plant shops in wherever I was.
Just look up for inspiration.
Of course, yeah, you know, and I learned from Brigham and Adam at Lucky Prince. I learned what CEO, like not CEO, what's the phrase for internet? Like I forgot. Yeah, like when like keywords. I forget the phrase right now. But anyways, like I learned a little bit about that, right? And like what it meant to have these phrases and how you would pop up in searches. So it's
Like the other side of like not just the brand and the story, but when
Yeah.
you're a customer and when
Yeah.
you're trying to, I guess, like stay relevant.
yeah, I can't, man, that's such a common word. But anyway, so the name, I was like, plant shop Chicago, plant shops in Chicago. When someone's looking for plant shops in Chicago, I want to be one of the first people to pop up.
Right.
So I was like, why don't we just name it Plant Shop Chicago?
As soon as someone types plant shop,
Yeah,
we're gonna come up.
it's like 3 keywords, that they're typing will be our name. And that was one idea, and it didn't hit right away. I think there was a little back and forth between me and Juan. I don't know if it was a good idea or not. And, luckily at the end,
Skepticism.
at the end we both decided that, that's a good name. And we just went with that. But yeah, that's.
And then you start like opening. You're like, all right, get ready. Let's make the logo. Let's prepare for opening day.
I can probably still find files of Pale Roots and the possible logos that was, and then files for Plant Shop Chicago and the build out of.
Just to see, you were already like, all right, let's.
Yeah, I had both.
Let's build it out.
Just to see what looked better. At that point, we had both learned a little bit about branding and what it meant. To build a strong brand, and I'm not saying that we are, but like, it was definitely in the back of our heads, to like kind of keep that in mind. So there was a lot of those questions being asked in my own head of like, cool, and what's going to be our colors, like what's going to be our 5 colors that represent the brand. And
you're like, because you already have all the experience of working from someone who succeeded, someone who knows what not to do. Plus you started like your first project, which was like your baby. That's like where you learned everything, all the good things and the bad. And now this one, it's like, now we can kind of evolve. We can kind of do something a little bit better this time.
And it was, and it really was that. I feel like when we called it Plant Shop Chicago, came up with their logo, came up with their colors, it was like, it wasn't a starting brand. It didn't feel like we were starting from scratch.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because someone necessarily just like gave us all the tools to get there. It was literally just from all of my experiences I've ever had, like literally everything, Like, it was just like, in every job I've ever had, I learned something that mattered at that moment to create this. And that's kind of how it came about.